The Radio Forest Podcast.
Kenny Wayne Shepherd.
What's going on?
Congratulations, 25 years since Trouble Is.
Yeah, man, we're really fired up. I'm really excited about it. I mean, to be doing anything or celebrating anything, a 25-year anniversary of anything is a big deal, but especially when it's music because, it just goes to show that it stood the test of time. And this stuff, still sounds totally relevant today. My goal has always been to make and record timeless music that people can enjoy for decades to come. And I would say, this is evidence that I've been on the right track.
Now, I don't mean this in the wrong way, but have you ever done another job? Because you started so young, you probably didn't have time to have any other gig, right?
Well, actually, man, for my senior year in high school, I was a delivery boy. As soon as I got my driver's license, my dad had young people wouldn't even know what this is, but my dad had a 1-hour photo store. I did the delivery route for all of his big accounts and stuff like that. So, but at the same time, I had started my band and was doing shows on weekends and things like that as well. But that was my only real regular gig.
The 1-hour photo was such a big new thing. You'd have to drop off, family photos or pictures with your friends and wait, I don't know, a week or something like that. 24-hour technology at its peak.
I know. It was a big deal. And it's just funny because now, I think they still have some places like that, in Walgreens and Target and stuff like that. But back then it was a huge novelty to be able to take your film in and have it developed and have your photos back in your hand within an hour.
Hey, I've been watching your documentary too, and I knew your dad was in radio, but I didn't realize you went to so many radio gigs. That's kind of what kicked this thing off. But boy, you must have been to every live broadcast, every community event, every live concert.
Yeah, man. I got, how it is. It's he was a program director and general manager and on-air personality. So, he was the guy. He got tickets and backstage passes to every concert that came through town. So I would get to see all these bands and go backstage and meet people and kind of see the behind the scenes of how the touring industry works. And, I was really young, but I had no idea. And I'm sure my dad had no idea that I was just absorbing all of this stuff and that it was really kind of, molding me and preparing me for my career in the music industry.
Now, Kenny's gone back and re-recorded Trouble Is for the 25th anniversary, the documentary I was talking about, plus it comes with a live film. Now, you guys tried to recapture even the way you recorded things, so you dug out some of the old equipment, like the 61 Fender Stratocaster. Was it in storage or anywhere, or was that Stratocaster still part of your daily gig, or did you have to get another 61 Stratocaster, or is it the exact same one?
No, I had all the original equipment. So the amplifiers, a couple of those amps hadn't even been turned on in probably 20 years. But all the original guitar effects pedals and the original guitars, I still have all of that stuff. So I pulled it all out of storage. The guitar still gets played, but some of those amps and those pedals don't really get used that often. But I took them in and I turned everything on and plugged it all in and played a few notes, and it was there's the sound right there. It was really great to still have all of that stuff on hand. It's a 1961 Stratocaster. It's just my absolute most favorite guitar. It's that kind of irreplaceable instrument. I got it when I was out supporting my very first album, Ledbetter Heights, and then once I got that guitar, I've toured around the world with that thing several times over, and it's been on every album that I've recorded since the moment that I picked it up. So it's certainly irreplaceable.
Was it worn like that when you got it? Because it's scraped a lot and it's got that patina look. Was it already well worn when you got it?
It wasn't in mint condition, but it certainly did not look like it does now. That's pretty much, I would say 99% of all the wear on the guitar has come from me playing it over the years. It's kind of cool. Some things that I have, like my automobiles, I like to keep them in, nice, pristine condition. But, my instruments, they're tools, they get used really hard. And thankfully they kind of look cooler the more beat up they get.
Did you ever get that Barracuda done? How's that coming?
Still working on it. It's a very slow process. COVID really kind of derailed that project car for 2 years. And so we're finally making some really good progress, and the car's getting close to being ready to be painted. And once you get paint on it, then you can, it's the beginning of the home stretch because you can start, reassembly and all of that.
Now, I think it might have coincided with the time frame of COVID, but after 20 years in California, you went back to Louisiana. Was that a hard sell? I mean, you've got 6 kids, so you've got 8 people in your family. How does that idea come up, and how do you sell it to everybody?
Well, you mean like just going back to Louisiana in general? Or,
yeah, like did you come up with the idea and you're talking to your wife and then you just tell the kids, hey, you don't have a choice, we're going? I mean, that's a big decision with 8 people, the cars, the guitars, your career, where you fly out of. It's not an easy thing to pack up and move, or is it?
Well, right. No, it's definitely challenging when look, I've been in California for 22 years, but, I lived the first 21 years of my life in Louisiana. So it actually worked out where we had a home in Louisiana and we had a home in California, and we were kind of just dividing up our time. Then we decided to leave California, and actually we ended up getting a place up in Tennessee. And so then it wound up, Tennessee and Louisiana.
Back to this, the 25th anniversary, you've decided to cover Bob Dylan. Yes, he's a guitar player, but Bob Dylan and Kenny Wayne Shepherd, 2 different guitar sounds, styles, and ideas. How did that come onto your radar? I mean, obviously, Hendrix heard something with Watchtower, so you can make that a guitar-focused song, and you did. How did that song make it into your arsenal?
Well, okay, so you got to go back to my first album. So I did my first record. I was on tour with Bob Dylan. I was the opening act for his tour that year. And he was just incredibly nice to me, man. He left a real impression on me. And I was really young, and so he was just so outgoing and so generous with his time and so encouraging for me and my music. And I just was inspired by that. And so when I went in the studio to do my second record, I wanted to do a Bob Dylan song to kind of show my appreciation for him and obviously my admiration for his music. So we did 2. We did Ballad of a Thin Man, and we did Everything Is Broken. And Everything Is Broken is the song that wound up on the original Trouble Is record. Ballad of a Thin Man actually didn't make it to the final cut of the record. But when we just recently went back in the studio and recorded the new version, the 25th anniversary version of the Trouble Is record, we decided to do Ballad of a Thin Man and include it on this version and give the fans something that they never even knew existed.
So getting to see Bob Dylan that close and playing every night, he is doing his own thing. He's playing the songs that he wants to play. He's playing versions of them that he wants to play. Basically, he's like, I'm doing what I do. If you want to show up, you can. Will I play the hits? I don't know. As a touring musician, do you see it the same way as I'm describing?
Well, I think, that's the point that's who you want to be as an artist. You want to be able to do what you feel inspired to do. And that's certainly what the guy's catalog is ridiculous. He's written so many songs, so many legendary hit songs. Like, he could come up with multiple different set lists, never play the same show twice, and still be full of hit songs, which is just incredible. But, the goal is, I think, as an artist, is to be able to do whatever you're inspired to do and for the fans to support you in that. And so he certainly has earned that right. I admire him for doing that. That's pretty cool.
Is picking a cigar like a song? Is it something pops in your head so you go with that cigar? Or do you have a certain taste in the moment? You're like, no, I really need to hear Bob Dylan at this moment. Or is there a cigar that you go to and you're like, I don't know what I want, but this is my favorite?
If you're a cigar enthusiast, then, it's all about the flavor of the cigar and the complexities in all of that. It's kind of like wine connoisseurs, And so if you've been a cigar enthusiast long enough, you kind of have your go-to, and like if you're in the mood for like some guys, I'm not that complicated when it comes to that stuff, but some guys, they have a specific one. If they really like, some guys like wake up in the morning, have a cigar with their coffee. I'm not that guy. But like they have a certain cigar that pairs well with their coffee, and then they have a certain cigar maybe that they have in the afternoon, and they have one that's really great after a steak dinner and things like that. So you can take anything as far as you want to, really.
Well, how do you pick one then?
I keep a steady supply of the ones that I know are consistently good, and then I'll walk in there and I'll look at what I've got, and I go, I don't feel like I'm in the mood for that one.
Your father-in-law, Mel Gibson, he's got quite a few different properties and has throughout his life. Australia, Costa Rica, Montana, Connecticut, Maui. But my question for you is, have you ever been to his island in Fiji?
Yeah. I have actually, yep.
Own private island. Tell me about that. And do you go to Australia and then from Australia go to the island?
Well, it depends on how you're getting there, by airline or private plane or whatever, and all of that kind of stuff. Some people would go to Australia first and then maybe stay there for a couple of days and then carry on to Fiji, or sometimes you might just fly straight into, I think, San Jose. I can't remember. I think that's the main city that has the main airport there. And then you have to get on a smaller plane or a helicopter or a boat to get to the island after that. And I mean, dude, it's cool. I mean, I was there when we were looking at multiple different places trying to figure out which one was the right one. And it was just an incredible experience, man. I mean, but what an incredible environment. I mean, the water there is beautiful. The sand, the beaches are amazing. It's a pretty incredible place. If you ever have the opportunity to go to Fiji, I certainly recommend it.
Now, Jerry Harrison from Talking Heads produced The Trouble Is. He also produced quite a few hit records right before working with you. Were you a fan of him as the Talking Heads? Were you aware of him, or was it kind of, oh, yeah, I've heard of that guy, let's get to know each other?
Well, I wasn't like a massive Talking Heads fan, but I certainly was aware of their music and had a lot of respect for the band. But, I had been turned on to him through the guy at my record company, Jeff Aldrich, the A&R guy. It's kind of his responsibility to manage the band's projects. And so he thought it would be a great collaboration between Jerry and I. And he recommended that I go meet with him. And so I did. And Jerry and I hit it off immediately. And it proved to be a really great collaboration for sure. I mean, the record was so successful, but beyond that, we went on to make many albums together. I mean, we were just in the studio together back in October making another record. So it's been really a lifelong relationship and a lifelong collaboration.
Oh, how did Jimi Hendrix's 80th birthday bash go? You, Zach Wilde, Eric Johnson, Billy Cox?
Yeah, it was great, man. That's kind of an extension. We used to do this thing called the Experience Hendrix Tour, but that tour hasn't really happened in a few years. So we all kind of got together. The Hendrix Estate puts on the concert, and they wanted to do a show honoring Jimmy's 80th birthday. And so it was a lot of fun, man. A lot of us players all have a lot of history doing those tours together. And so it's just great to see everybody and be making music together again.
And didn't you play his Stratocaster before, right?
I did. I played the white Strat that Jimi Hendrix played at Woodstock. I played it back on the Jimmy Fallon show before he was on the Tonight Show up in New York, and then played it that night live on stage at the Beacon Theater. So it was a pretty cool experience for sure.
Got a re-recorded version of Trouble Is 25th Anniversary. There's a documentary with it, a live concert film. We talked about the Bob Dylan cover. It's on vinyl, it's on digital, it's on CD. Kenny Wayne Shepherd, always great to talk to you. Congratulations on 25 years.
Thanks, brother. I appreciate it.